Hey VC, it's Dave here. I watched a video, actually a couple of them, here the other day. One of them was by Norman Masloff, or Mazzy. He did a whack-a-mole video pull. Thought I'd do the same thing. Rachel, who goes by, I think, Music Ma'am, and I think David Newton did one too. But kind of got me in the mood for movies, so I thought I'd do one and see if I could do one to talk about the movies that I pull. I won't include this one, but I watched this one here the other night. It's the original Blade Runner, but it's the final cut, and this is the one that Ridley Scott did and kind of tinkered with a little bit after the original one. This one doesn't have the voiceovers. You know, the original came out and it had Harrison Ford do these voiceovers, and it was kind of done in a you know, Sam Spade mystery noir type fashion. This one doesn't have those, and I'd had this video for a while and never watched it, but was in the mood for something like this the other night. I'm a big science fiction fan, and pretty much a fan of genre films in general, so you know, I won't be showing any Criterion movies, probably, more than likely, although, you know, I'm not putting them down. I just, you know, it's not particularly my taste in music. I've seen quite a number of them, but anyway, getting back to this one, this is the one without voiceovers, and actually I liked it quite a bit. And then here the other day, I picked this up. This is the Blade Runner soundtrack, and this is not the Vangelis soundtrack. This is the orchestra one. I think that's what it's called, the New American Orchestra one. And I didn't even know that this one existed really until I saw Odd Box Topper talk about it here the other day on his channel, and but yeah, it's kind of interesting in its own right. Was happy to find it, and so let's see if we can do some blind pulls. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what do we got? Okay, well, I said I was a science fiction fan, and I was born in the 50s, and so pretty much raised on black and white TV, and you know, enjoyed all the early serials as a kid. You know, they had like stuff on like Flash Gordon and whatnot, but this is from the earlier era. This is It. One of them is It, the Terror from Beyond Space, which is this one here. And actually, from what I've read, that the movie Alien was taken from this movie in some regards, because the same scenario is about an alien being captured in a spaceship, and he starts picking off the crew one by one. And so it's interesting. I remember seeing this as a kid, though, on TV, black and white TV, and it, you know, like a lot of things, it scared me. This other one is called The Monster That Challenged the World, and it's kind of a neat one too. It's about this giant, kind of cheesy, but it's kind of about this giant slug, and I forget how, you know, where the slug came from, if it came from a nuclear explosion, or, you know, maybe it came from you know, various means that they would use back in the day to create monsters. But yeah, it's sort of interesting too, and the special effects actually for both movies are done pretty well. This is one that Mazzy pulled. Brazil, Carrie Gilliam of Monty Python, sort of a dystopian science fiction film. Done pretty well. It's been a while since I've seen this. I just remember it being dystopian. Just about this one guy, and the government is after him for some reason. Best as I can remember, I should rewatch this again to get more familiar with it. It's sort of surrealistic, and it says the government agency that forbids love to interfere with efficiency. So in some ways that kind of parallels 1984 and other movies of that kind. Okay. Spider-Man 2. I also like comic books. I read comic books as a kid, and you know, have read them off and on for years and years. Not so much these days because they've gotten too expensive, more or less. But this just continues on with Tobey Maguire's first installment, and it's got Dr. Octopus as the main villain, and I forget the ladies or the actor that plays Mary Jane on here, but yeah, if you like the first one, you'd probably like this one too. It's a good movie, action movie. Was not a big Spider-Man fan growing up. I was more into like stuff like Fantastic Four and Superman, you know, that type thing. But I was aware of him, of course, back in the day. Here's another one I haven't seen in a while. This is The Conversation with Gene Hackman, and is sort of a small character study about Gene Hackman. And I forget the gist of this, and it's also created by Francis Ford Coppola. And talks about privacy in a lot of ways. And Gene Hackman plays a guy that does wiretapping as best as I can remember. It takes place in San Francisco, as you can see from the Golden Gate here. And the tables get turned on him, and I forget the reason why, but he kind of figures out that people are taping him, and he goes through this whole ordeal where he tears his apartment apart, trying to figure out who's wiretapping him and everything, and it's very covert in its presentation, and really is a thriller, more or less, and you know, was nominated for a Best Picture back in 1974. So yeah, got a pretty good cast in it as best I can remember. But if you've not seen it, it's well worth a watch. Mary Poppins. Now, I didn't go see this when it showed at the cinema, and I didn't see it for a long time until a friend of mine, we were talking, and he mentioned Mary Poppins, and I said I'd never seen that movie, and he said, "Wow, you've never seen Mary Poppins?" And I said no, and so it kind of got me curious, you know, about the movie. It's kind of a part musical, you know, and part fantasy. It has Julie Andrews as the main character, and Dick Van Dyke plays the chimney sweep in it. But it's just a sort of an all-round family type movie, kind of very kind of sentimental, but really well done. You know, it's got scenes in it that are kind of animated as well. And yeah, if you've not seen it, I think it's worth a watch. It's just an overall fun movie. So anyway, that's 5 movies plus the Blade Runner, and I just wanted to come on here. Maybe I'll do this again and pull 5 movies and see if I can talk about them. Some of those that I showed I wasn't very familiar with, but and just goes to show I should probably give them a rewatch and get familiar with them again. So anyway, there you have it, and hope everybody's staying safe and indoors and more or less complying with the coronavirus things that you're supposed to do to stay safe and healthy. So anyway, I'll let you go. This is Dave. Talk to you later.